Hello, I'm Andy Moore with Let's Fix This, and today I'm going to tell you how you can be directly involved in shaping the laws of our state, particularly during the legislative session. In this video, we're going to talk about civic engagement at the state level, not the federal Washington, D.C. level stuff. And as I think you'll see, you really do have more power than you think. Each year, from the beginning of February to the end of May, Oklahoma lawmakers gather at the state capitol for the annual legislative session. During this time, they propose, debate, and vote on bills, some of which will eventually become law. This year, we saw a record number of bills and joint resolutions filed by the legislature, more than 3,000 in total, which is to say, a lot. However, most years, only around 10% of the bills make it all the way through the legislative process and are signed into law by the governor. In order to become a law, each bill must first pass through a committee vote and a floor vote in one chamber, and then go to the other chamber, and it must again pass through the same hurdles, a committee vote and then a floor vote. And if a bill makes it through those 4 steps, then it goes to the governor, who can choose to sign it into law or to veto it. So, to break that down a little bit, let's say that a member of the Oklahoma House of Representatives proposes a bill about, automatic voter registration. Once the bill is filed, the bill would likely be assigned to the House Rules Committee. The chair of that committee can decide to hear the bill or not. If the bill is not heard, or if it's heard but it fails to pass the committee with a majority vote, it's dead. However, if it passes the committee, it is then eligible to be heard on the floor of the House. Now, if the floor leader doesn't schedule it for a vote, or if it's heard and it fails, again, it's dead. But if it passes the floor of the House, then it goes to the other chamber, to the Senate, where it's assigned likely to the Senate Rules Committee, and the process starts all over. Once the bill passes the Senate committee and then the Senate floor, it would then go to the governor, and if he signs it, it's the law. If the governor vetoes it, it goes back to the legislature, who could potentially override the veto with a supermajority vote in both chambers. Are you confused yet? Now, before we talk about how you can be involved in this process, I want to share with you a word about why you should be involved. And that is because you, as a citizen of this fine state, you have needs and wants and dreams for what our state can and should be. You have a perspective that matters. You have opinions with merit and a voice that deserves to be heard. But nobody knows anything about what's going on in that little head and that heart of yours unless you share it. You must speak up. We all must speak up. Voting is one way, to be sure, but it is not the only way. The conversation cannot and should not stop once candidates get elected. Now, whether you voted for them or not, whether you agree with them or not, they now represent you, and they cannot read your mind. They don't know how you think or feel or what you believe unless you tell them. If you choose to remain silent, you are ceding the floor. You are yielding your time to someone else, probably a lobbyist, and that person may not agree with you. Decisions are made by those who show up. Oklahoma needs you to show up. It's not hard. Literally anyone can do it. In fact, let's talk through how to do it right now. First, you need to know who your state legislators are. The easiest way to find out is to go to the state legislature's website, which is oklegislature.gov, and enter your home address. On the next page, scroll down, and you'll see your federal representation followed by your state level representation, which includes your state House representative and your state senator. Now, you can decide how you want to contact them: by phone, by email, in person, snail mail, even on social media. And under normal, non-pandemic situations, a face-to-face meeting with them, either at the Capitol or in their home district, is always the gold standard. But for obvious reasons, we'll take that off the table for this year. For most people, and for most issues, a phone call or an email is going to be the best way to go. If we look back at the legislature's website, you can see that each legislature's phone number is listed on their profile, and there's also a link to a form where you can send them an email. Alternatively, on the Let's Fix This website, we have a spreadsheet with all of the state legislators' phone, email, their office number, and some other information like their assistant. We even have links to their Facebook and Twitter profiles in case you're interested in following them on there. Some of them are pretty active. It can be a good way. Now, regardless of how you choose to contact your state legislators, a few things to keep in mind. First, don't be a jerk. Now, this is a good rule of thumb for life in general, but remember that you are talking to another human, an Oklahoman, no less, who is, in most accounts, just like you. And you may disagree with them on many policies, but that doesn't mean that they are not deserving of respect. Honestly, when you think about it, the fact that they got elected means that they've likely endured their fair share of vitriol and negativity, and they've gotten here anyway. And like my grandpa used to say, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. That reminds me, on a related note, you should know that when you do call, your phone call or email will first be received by someone who is not your legislator. You'll have to pass through their legislative assistant or executive assistant. This person is the gatekeeper to one or more legislators, and I'm here to tell you, it is 100% worth your time to make friends and build a relationship with that person. Your message has a much higher chance of reaching your legislator if you're kind to their assistant. So it's common sense, but they have a very difficult job with wacky hours and usually not for too much money. So please be kind. Second, be concise. If you're like me, you probably care about a lot of different things. Education, poverty, criminal justice, budget, voter registration, gerrymandering, initiative petitions. There's a lot going on. And because of that, it can be tempting to try to include everything in one long email to your state legislators. Instead, use your time to focus on one or two key issues, ideally by asking them to vote for or against a specific bill. The legislative session is extremely busy, and legislators are unlikely to know the number of a bill just off the top of their head. So tell them what bill it is you're calling about or emailing about, what it does, when they'll be voting on it, and if you happen to know, and then ask them how you'd like them to vote, for or against it. That brings me to my third and final point, which is make it personal. If you send an email that just says, "Hi, Senator, my name is Andy and I live in your district and I want you to vote no on House Bill blah, 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 because it's a trash bill and it's bad for business." I'm sorry, but they're probably going to ignore you. Instead, use a sentence or two that describes your connection to the issue and explains why it is important to you and maybe why they should listen to your perspective. Maybe the bill is related to your job or your area of professional expertise. Maybe the bill directly affects you or a friend or a member of your family. Sharing how the issue makes it personal to you and to them. And it's one thing to vote on bills that seem abstract or detached from real people, but when something actually affects people and they know that person, or it's a constituent who lives in their district and votes in their district, and that person takes the time out to contact their state legislator about it, it's a big deal. And often we hear people say that the magic number is 7 to 10. 7 to 10 contacts, phone calls, emails, what have you, that are the difference between a bill failing and a bill passing. So many bills out of 3,000, right, go by without a single contact from any constituent. So the fact that you even took the time to write one email or make one phone call is a legitimately big deal, and they will listen. They may not agree with you, but they will at least listen. Now, I want to end today by reiterating something I said earlier. You have the power to shape the laws that govern our state. You have the power to prioritize certain policies over others. You have the power to push Oklahoma forward or pull it backwards. The key to unleashing that power is to demonstrate that you care. And you do that just by showing up, by voting, not just every now and then, but in every single election that you can, no matter how small. And by building relationships with your friends, your neighbors, and your elected officials. You demonstrate that you care by doing just a little bit more than what you've done in the past. So maybe you're someone who votes most of the time and you want to commit to voting in every election. That is huge. You should definitely do that. Maybe you occasionally talk to your spouse or a couple of your friends about, some issues about politics, but you've never actually contacted your state legislator about something. Well, friend, now's the time. It's super easy, as I hope you've seen. You can think of that first email as the start of a conversation. Hello, my name is Andy and I live in your district. I saw that you are on the Common Education Committee and I would like to know what your priorities are when it comes to public education in our state. Or, hi, my name is Andy, I'm a constituent. I've never emailed my legislator before, but I just want to say hello and ask you what bills you proposed this year and where they're at in the process. Hi, my name is Andy, and I want to ask if you'd be willing to speak to my book club next month via Zoom. Or maybe, hi, my name is Andy. I care about Oklahoma, and I believe you do too. I'd like to work together to make things better. Let's fix this. As always, thank you for your time. If you found this video helpful or you liked it, please hit the little thumbs up button below and consider sharing it with your friends on Facebook or Twitter, or maybe send them a text. And if you like this video and you want to see others like it, don't forget to hit subscribe down at the bottom. Maybe even the little bell button. I think you get notified. That seems cool. Have a great week, and remember, decisions are made by those who show up.